now that winter is approaching very shortly, what are some emergencies that people should be aware of that could happen, and how can they prepare for them?
Well, we have seen increased severity in winter weather over the last several years. I mean, we did, Snowmageddon or whatever you want to call it. And historically, we usually have about a week that we see sub-freezing temperatures, icy roads, things like that. So to go ahead and get prepared for it, if you have a chimney, make sure it's cleaned out. We do see increases in chimney fires and stuff like that. We usually also see increases in fires with people using portable heaters and fuel sources being too close to them. So you want to keep a few feet at least around the immediate area of portable heaters and make sure there's nothing that can blow into them. So we've had people that put them around like dog houses and stuff like that that had hay in it, and then the wind would pick up and it would blow into the heater and catch fire.
So you mentioned the heaters, you have the chimneys. Are there any other household items or objects that people need to really keep an eye on during the winter?
Obviously your pipes, okay, so make sure you're wrapping your pipes, making sure they're insulated. We usually do see quite a few of those as well. Any gaps around windows or doors, you can fill those to kind of help keep heat sources in the house. And then there's, roof and stuff like that. A lot of people actually see damage from leaves and stuff getting stuck in the gutters. That traps moisture, and then when the ice expands, it'll break gutters and can actually damage your roof line.
So when those leaves are left there, it can damage your house?
Yeah, so those leaves are pretty dense, and then when water gets in the gutters and it doesn't have anywhere to go, that further expands your gutters and can damage not only your gutters but also your roof line.
And what should people have stowed away in the event of an emergency?
Well, it's always good to keep a couple of days worth of supplies on hand. So bottles of water, canned goods, stuff that doesn't necessarily require cooking, okay, in case your electricity does go out. So canned goods, bottles of water, stuff like that.
And where should people store those supplies?
I mean, generally, cabinets, pantry, but somewhere that you can get to that won't be directly affected by the weather, so nowhere close to a window, stuff like that.
And we talk about food, but there's also some documents I'm sure people will want to keep handy in the event of an emergency, will want to keep stored away. Where can they store them?
It's always a good idea to store important documents, at least copies of them. If you don't have like a safety deposit box or something, somewhere in your home that is fire safe, so a gun safe, a document safe, something like that. But it's always good to store documents to where you can get to them quickly in case you do need to evacuate your home for any number of reasons.
And in the event of something like a blizzard, what should people do to best position themselves to be as safe as possible?
So one, watch the weather, watch the forecast, right? So there's several things like diesel trucks. If it gets really cold, they need fuel additives. During Winter Storm Uri, we saw a lot of that with diesel vehicles. They just would not start because the fuel was, it becomes really gummy. So.
Is there anything else you'd like for our audience to know on emergency preparedness during the winter?
Just be safe. Don't put diesel or gas-powered engines in your home. Okay, so we have seen people, even in your garage, if it's an enclosed garage, make sure generators are outside, a few feet away from your house. That way the exhaust isn't blowing in your home.